April's most exciting tournament is here, folks. And no, I'm not talking about the Masters. I'm talking about the NBA's play-in tournament, the precursor to basketball's postseason proper that determines the final two playoff teams in each conference. Despite some initial reservations from some marquee players and even one outspoken owner, the play-in has already enraptured fans, seemingly transformed the NBA's competitive climate, and ultimately looks to be a stroke of genius from Commissioner Adam Silver. And you better get used to it, because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Let's take a look at how the play-in tournament has evolved and helped reshape the league in just a few short years. Sit back, relax, and take this in. Originally introduced during the COVID-interrupted 2019-2020 campaign to add some intrigue to the final stretch of the irregular season, the play-in tournament was initially conceived as a play-in game between the 8th and 9th seeds in each conference. Provided they finished within 4 games of one another, the two teams would square off for the final playoff spot, the 8th seed, in the postseason proper. As it turned out, no such game was necessary in the Eastern Conference, but they did need one in the West, where Portland defeated Memphis to lock up the number 8 seed. At the time, however, the play-in game was thought to be nothing more than another quirk in an already highly unusual season. Except, months later, the NBA's Board of Governors voted unanimously to not only bring back the play-in game for 2020-2021, but to expand it into a tournament featuring the 7 through 10 seeds in each conference fighting for the final 2 spots in the playoffs. That decision wasn't received well throughout the NBA, with star players like Luka Doncic and LeBron James publicly criticizing the move. Hell, even Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, who himself voted to implement the play-in tournament, called it an enormous mistake in hindsight. In a sense, it felt functionally and spiritually akin to Major League Baseball's Wildcard Game. After almost 2 decades of baseball's postseason simply featuring the 3 division winners in each league, plus the non-division winner with the best record, the wildcard team, baseball threw a wrench into that system in 2012. That year, MLB introduced the Wildcard Game, which pitted the 2 best non-division winners in each league against one another in a 1-game playoff for a spot in the postseason proper. And naturally, not everyone was thrilled about the change. Many players and fans alike couldn't abide an 162-game season coming down to a single do-or-die contest. But damn it if those games weren't entertaining.
There's a drive to deep left field, and the ball game is over.
Soon enough, baseball and its fans warmed to, or at least accepted, the Wildcard Game, which later morphed into the best-of-3 wildcard round that exists today. It feels like basketball is on a similar journey with the play-in tournament, except with one key difference. Unlike James and Doncic, the fans have been on board with the play-in tournament since day one. According to a 2021 survey, only 12% of NBA fans said they disapproved of the tournament, and 45% of self-identified avid NBA fans said they strongly approved of it. And that wasn't just talk. The TV ratings very much back that up. In 2021, for example, the battle for the number 7 seed in the Western Conference between LeBron's Lakers and Steph Curry's Warriors averaged almost 6 million viewers, making it the league's most watched game on cable, excluding the playoffs and the All-Star game, since 2011. Meanwhile, an NBA executive noted that year's play-in games averaged 2.5 times the number of viewers of nationally televised regular season games. It's not hard to see why the NBA's Board of Governors voted in 2022 to make the play-in tournament a permanent part of basketball's postseason. But while the owners are now set to further line their pockets with additional broadcasting rights revenue, the fans are getting something out of it too. Something much more meaningful than just another round of entertaining, high-stakes basketball. See, the implementation of the play-in tournament, which is essentially an expansion of the postseason, also works as a pro-competition mechanism. It not only discourages middling teams from tanking, but it also incentivizes good teams to play hard every single night in order to avoid the play-in tournament. It wasn't long ago, after all, that tanking was rampant across the NBA. In 2017-2018, 9 teams finished with less than 30 wins. 9 teams. And whether you blame it on the league's then weighted draft lottery system, that year's stacked draft class, or both, the bottom line is that 30% of the league wasn't even trying to be competitive. Well, fast forward 5 years, and the competitive landscape in the NBA is completely different. Only 4 teams finished with less than 30 wins in 2022-2023, and only 3 of them were really trying from the get-go not to be competitive this year. And that's with a generational talent in Victor Wembanyama ready to go to whichever team picks first overall in the 2023 draft. Under this system, where you only need to finish 10th in your conference to have a chance at the Larry O.B., it's much harder to cultivate buy-in for a tank than it is to squeak into the playoffs, or at least the precursor to the playoffs. Now, is this shift solely on account of the play-in tournament? No. The NBA also flattened its draft lottery odds back in 2019, further diminishing the incentive for teams to tank. Now, the team that finishes with the worst record in the league has the same chance of securing the first overall pick as the team that finishes with the 3rd worst record. Tanking, in other words, is a much more tenuous path to securing a future superstar. Still, the play-in tournament, or rather, the lower barrier to postseason entry, has worked in conjunction with the newly flattened lottery odds to create one of the most competitive climates the NBA has ever seen. Ultimately, unless you're one of the several number 8 seeds who got bounced by a 9 over the last few years, it's hard to see much downside in the play-in tournament. The fans get an extra dose of excitement leading into the playoffs, the owners get more revenue, and it incentivizes teams to compete, which is a boon for the players. Seemingly, it's win-win-win. But what say you? Are you a fan of the play-in tournament, or do you think it's unfair? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As always, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time.